So, I imagine a few of you will have heard of Elfen Lied, a series made famous by having one of the weirdest starts of all time. Following a girl as she wanders around a research facility, slaughtering everyone, escaping, washing up on a beach, and saying "you" a lot. Well, for whatever reason, that series was popular enough that its mangaka, Okamoto Lin, has got the chance to write quite a few more series, and I'll be reviewing one of those today. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Gokukoku no Brynhildr. A story that's not quite as weird as Elfen Lied, but still has little girls with magical powers and a fair bit of gore. The general gist of Brynhildr's story is the following. Murakami, our protagonist, goes with his childhood friend Kuroneko to see the aliens she says she's found. On the way there, they fall off a dam and Kuroneko dies. Protag-kun is ravaged by guilt. Many years later, a certain Kuroha-neko, who looks nearly identical to Kuroneko, shows up as a transfer student in Murakami's class. But despite the nearly identical features and name, she claims to be a completely different person. Oh yeah, and she has superpowers. Murakami finds out that Neko, along with several other magical girls, are escapees from a generic evil research organization. Actually, I can't even remember the name of said organization. That's just how generic it is. Anyways, Murakami does what any good protag-kun would do and decides to save all the magical girls he meets from being recaptured by the evil organization. The story from there is then a mix of harem romance, what with all the magical girls rescued falling in love with our dear protag-kun, action, with superpowered fights between the magical girls, and horror, for which I'll just let the pictures speak for themselves. Murakami is a pretty well-written character. It's clear that Kuroneko's death weighs deeply on him. He's serious, but not to the point of being obnoxiously broody, and he retains a deep sense of kindness. Also, while having no superpowers of his own, he manages to stay useful throughout the series by being resourceful and intelligent, traits often lacking in the girls he's protecting. Foremost among those girls is Kuroha Neko, whose personality is all over the place, going from being cold and serious to a cheerful, clueless ditz. She has powerful telekinesis powers, with the slight drawback that she loses some of her memory every time she uses it, which might help explain why her personality goes on a seesaw. The only thing that stays constant for her the whole way through is her penchant for heroism. As for the rest of the heroines, we have Kana, a sharp-tongued and mobile goth lolly who has foresight, Kazumi, who's headstrong, has the magical powers of good hacking skills, and really wants to get in Murakami's pants, Kotori the klutz, who can switch places with other people, and Hatsuna, who's blunt and immortal. This cast has pretty good dynamics, and when the story has some of the more peaceful moments, it's fun to watch the characters bounce off each other. As superpowered harems go, Gokukoku no Brynhildr is one of the better ones I've read. It has light, happy moments and fan service, but that never gets in the way of the plot, and it manages to tell a fairly serious story. Actually, the brief moments of happiness make the tension in the story all that much stronger, because it gives you a chance to get attached to the characters before they all start getting killed off. Oh, and believe me, lots of them get killed off. None of the heroines have plot armor, so you should be prepared to see your pick for best girl die. This makes the story all that much more gripping and really easy to marathon. I'd also like to give the story huge props for having a couple of heroines who are smart enough to know when to give up on protag-kun. Once they realize they don't have a chance with Murakami, they actually go on to develop other meaningful relationships, instead of moping around lovelorn for the rest of the series. Hooray for not making protag-kun the be-all and end-all, and giving the girls some agency. So most of the problems with this series come to a head in the second half of the story, which makes them really hard to discuss without spoilers. Here's the gist though. Gokukoku no Brynhildr has a few plot holes, a lot of story threads that were started but never wrapped up, and an ending which trolls you in the last 2 pages. Oh, also, the last page isn't even translated. The translators just decided to skip it for some reason. So yeah, the story kind of tanks in the last few chapters, and honestly I have no clue what the author was thinking. I think the thing that bugged me the most was that right in the last arc, there were a couple of characters that were introduced, built up, became interesting, and then they proceeded to become completely irrelevant in short order. I mean, seriously, you could remove them completely from the story and there would be no change. Other than the last bit of the story though, I only have one complaint, which is with the whole amnesia thing. Almost every one of the protagonists loses their memory at some point in the story, some multiple times, and the whole thing just gets overused. Its worst case is Kuroneko, who literally has all her character development reset several times over the course of the story. It was supposed to feel tragic, but instead it just felt frustrating. Gokukoku no Brynhildr gives a thrilling ride, but one that starts creaking and wheezing as it approaches the finish. If you're one of those journey matters more than destination type people, then I can easily recommend this to you. But otherwise, maybe not. There's just too many problems near the end. If you've already read Gokukoku no Brynhildr and are looking for something similar, I have 3 recommendations: World Embryo, Tokyo ESP, and Garay, all which feel very similar to this story with their mix of modern day magic, romance, and tragedy. Admittedly though, they also have the same sorts of problems with their endings, so bear that in mind. Anyways, that concludes my review. Thank you for listening. Cheers!